From sleeping in his car to becoming one of the highest-grossing actors of all time, Rocky Balboa has been instrumental for Sylvester Stallone's career. This is why his absence from the greater franchise's 9th installment came as a bit of a surprise to fans. Well, Creed's Adonis Creed is here to tell us whether to expect him in the 10th installment or not. Michael B. Jordan said there were a few things he couldn't control. The story of how Stallone went from being homeless to living in multi-million-dollar mansions has entered Hollywood folklore, and it all started when he met Irwin Winkler in 1973. That was when he sold the rights to the first Rocky film screenplay for a mere $75,000, along with the condition that he'd be the one to star in it. This earned him another 10 unit points, bringing his total earnings from one of the highest-grossing films of all time to $2.5 million. Not a lot compared to what Winkler was making, but enough for Stallone to be content. Now, it seems like Stallone's finally putting up a fight against the producer for more rights to his creation. More on that later. But basically, the Rocky franchise has been, ironically, rocky lately, and things came to a head when Stallone's character was missing from the franchise's 9th installment, Creed 3. That's a first. Rocky Balboa has been a part of the franchise since 1975, and Jordan claimed that his absence from Creed 3 was because of greater politics that he wasn't a part of. Stallone did, however, sign on as a director for the film.
Come on, swing us! Balboa's off to an...
So the question on everyone's mind right now is, will Rocky Balboa be a part of Creed 4? We don't have official confirmation on a 4th Creed film as of yet, but I know that the franchise is looking to expand more and more, so a 4th Creed film will likely happen. And when Jordan was asked whether Stallone would be a part of it, he said that he'd want nothing more than to have Balboa by Creed's side in another film. Rocky was introduced into the Creed franchise as Adonis's mentor, who literally pushed him to give his absolute best in the ring. Like passing the torch from one underdog to the next, his absence from the 3rd film was, according to Stallone and Jordan, something that had to do with greater politics. But the Black Panther actor has since stated that the way the Creed films are structured, there'd always be space for Rocky Balboa, whenever that may be. Besides the greater politics everyone's been talking about, however, Stallone claimed that he didn't want to be a part of Creed 3's dark plot. When the veteran actor was asked why he wouldn't be reprising the role that literally made his career, he said that he didn't want Rocky's legacy to be associated with Creed 3's dark plot.
10 seconds longer. Pete.
So, in a way, it was Stallone's decision too, but in a very slight way if I'm honest, because even back then, Stallone admitted that Winkler had decided to take a path with the 9th film in the Rocky franchise that he didn't necessarily agree with. This was before the big blowout, by the way, but it was pretty obvious that tensions between Stallone and the 93-year-old producer were running high even then. It all came to a head recently, when Stallone accused the Winkler family of picking at Rocky's bones. In a series of Instagram posts, Stallone claimed that the producer and his family had sucked Rocky's blood dry. He meant it both figuratively and literally, because in a few of those images, he showed Winkler with a bloodied mouth and with Rocky having puncture wounds on his neck. Pretty graphic if you ask me, but people say Stallone was pushed to a point where he had to fight back. Back to 1973, Stallone claimed that he didn't want to ruffle the golden goose's feathers, because without Winkler, Stallone would have been a literal starving actor. However, over the years, the actor has claimed that he'd been trying to negotiate for more rights from the franchise from Winkler, as something to pass on to his children. Instead, Stallone claims that Winkler's given the rights to his own children, which understandably didn't sit well with Stallone, hence the menacing Instagram posts. Jordan's kept his distance from the Winkler-Stallone controversy, but everyone's looking at him to answer a pretty big question. Does he plan on killing Stallone's Rocky Balboa in the upcoming Creed film? As I said, we don't have confirmation on another Creed film as of yet. We do, however, know that there's an upcoming Drago film in the mix, something that Stallone claimed he wasn't aware of until after the upcoming release was announced.
They're trading shots in the kind of back-and-forth action that most of us didn't expect.
something which infuriated him. But anyway, back to Creed. You might remember that Jordan has a greater role in the Creed franchise than just starring as the titular character. He also serves as the film's executive director. This means that he has the power and authority to determine which way he wants Balboa's character to go. Frankly, he could kill off Stallone's pride and joy if he wanted to. Will he? He told Sports Illustrated that he envisions Balboa being part of the many upcoming films in the Creed franchise. But the nonsensical way in which Creed 3 sort of played off Balboa's absence has fans thinking the worst. Like, why wasn't Rocky at Marianne Creed's funeral? Creed's entire character is almost a modern-day remake of Balboa's legacy, and he's been a huge part of the young fighter's life for so long. You'd expect him to be a permanent fixture almost. So even though Stallone was announced to not be taking part in the third film, it didn't make sense how he was written off.
Conlon is down. That is the first time in his career he's been on the canvas. You cannot be saved by the bell in the 12th and
Besides maybe one mention in the film when Adonis gave Damian Anderson a title shot, as homage to what his father Apollo Creed did for Rocky in the original films. That was about it for someone we thought had a greater role in Creed's life. I mean, Rocky wasn't even there for Marianne's funeral, and I'm sure I wasn't the only one who expected Stallone's character to make a surprise entry toward the end of Creed's big fight. Nothing. But moving on from the Stallone-Winkler controversy, Jordan revealed that working as a director for the first time was harder than he thought. In an interview with Sports Illustrated, the actor said that working as a director was a surreal experience for him. He said that when he'd worked solely as an actor, he'd go home once the cameras stopped rolling. But with Creed 3, he'd stay on set for hours after filming ended, and work through what was needed for the next couple of days with the department heads. From which chairs to place in the scene to how the lighting should be, Jordan would oversee every little detail as carefully as he could.
Hey, back up, everybody, back up. We need air.
But he admitted that it was an experience he wouldn't trade for anything in the world. And when the interviewer asked him if this made him consider switching careers, Jordan answered that he'd at least like to work as a director for a few more films before making the ultimate switch. He also said that working on Creed made him develop a newfound respect for boxers. Jordan admitted that he'd been working out for hours on end every single day to prep for the role of Adonis Creed. Again, this was in addition to him working for hours on end as a director, and the actor has his work cut out for him for Creed 4 too. Well, that's all on what Michael B. Jordan had to say about Sylvester Stallone's return for Creed 4.